You are now tuned in and rocking with the best that the Commanders content creating space has to offer all in one place. You know what it is. When Rico, Rio, Ed, and myself link up, the Commander Kings are in your presence. Bless the Kings.
Yes,
We here.
sir.
And I know this has been a long time coming. Y'all have been asking. The streets were talking. We were listening. We knew y'all wanted this, and we've been working on this behind the scenes. My apologies, first and foremost, for this not being a live stream. This one's on me. But next week, we'll be back, 8 o'clock time slot Tuesday, live, hopefully after a win. What's going on, fellas, man? Talk to me. How y'all feeling? 2-game losing streak, first time this season. How y'all feeling right now?
Oh man, I'm just glad to get that hell week out of our system, man. 2 losses in 4 days on top of being sick. I'm just glad to move on. It is still Dallas week, and no matter what's going on down there, we need to kick them while they're down, and
Oh,
we
yeah.
need to give. We got a lot of payback on our mind this
Oh,
week.
man, you aren't lying.
Yeah, and Rio, man, I forgot about that too, man. I hope you feeling all right. You look like you feeling good, man.
Yeah, I got some color back in my skin, some fluids in me, and some antibiotics. So we
Yeah.
back from pneumonia, man.
Hey, look, man.
Yes,
That
sir.
They
get
they
right week. That get
it,
right
it-
week.
yeah, man. Everybody's trying to get right. My daughter was trying to take me down. I was over here coughing my tail off. Somebody was like, "Man, Louie, that cough got you on the ropes over there, bro." I was like, "Yeah, I'm over here fighting a good fight, man." So yeah, it's that time of the year, man. But glad to see all of y'all are doing well. And this is a big week. This is the first real adversity that we faced this season. It was funny. We were texting each other in our group text after the game, the Eagles game, and I text in the group text, and Rio said, "Man, f this game, man." he was hot. Rio was hot after the game when we lost to the Eagles. Man, that was a tough one. One of the craziest things that I've seen since that game is just the amount of fans who are like jumping off the ship, right? Like it's crazy the amount of Jayden Daniels is a bust. I've seen some crazy stuff from people that like I thought there were maybe some agents of chaos in there that weren't really fans of the team, posing as a fan of the team to try to, send people off the deep end. But I'm like, no, no, I've talked to this person before. They're actually a fan of the team and they're talking crazy
Yeah, it's
after
wild.
a brief little 2 games, spill here. So wild stuff. How are you guys feeling right now with this little 2 game, adversity that we've hit here? How y'all feeling, man?
I still think we're in a great spot, man. Especially watching the game last night. I
Mhm.
mean, how could you not watch that game last night and not feel like this is a get right week?
Right.
I mean, going up against Cooper Rush and their defense, they gave up 3 touchdowns to Joe Mixon, so I think we should be fine. I mean, Jared World is falling apart literally.
Yeah.
The whole stadium's starting to fall. They got metal falling from the ceiling. We can't talk too much trash about it, but when
Yeah.
AT&T
right. Right.
was
Right.
but no, yeah, I saw some of the tweets too. I think people don't know how to handle success.
Right.
I think that's a big part of it. We jumped off to
Yeah.
success so quick. They just don't know how to handle it. We're in a different spot. But it feels good to look at playoff pictures instead of mock drafts because when I look at a lot of the Cowboy content creators, they're doing mock drafts and stuff
We
like
we
that
were
right now.
just there, man. We were just
So
there. We know the feeling
head
all too well.
coaches, they're looking at head coaches. Yeah. So we're playing against a team that's really looking forward to head coaches. They're talking about Deion Sanders. Like they're not even thinking about football right now at this point.
Yeah.
They're
Facts.
ready for the season to be over. CD, he's ready for the season to be over. They got a bunch of guys on the injury list. Their offensive line is banged up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw one play where like Tyler Guyton picked up a fumble. He tried to run with it, and then one of the Texans clocked him, and they ran it back for a touchdown. So
Yeah.
that's just the kind of stuff that we're seeing in Dallas. This is a get right week. I know we'll probably talk about Jayden and the injury and whatnot, and what Dan Quinn had to say, but this is the week to get right. This is the week to get right back on track. But yeah, a lot of people are panicking. They need to calm down. They're not used to the success that we're at right now. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my whole thing is like, if you would have told me just a couple of months ago we were 7-4 through 11 games, I would have been extra excited. I would have been like, I'll take
Yeah.
that any day. Yes, please. Second in the NFC East, I would have been perfectly fine. But even just beyond that, even looking beyond the Cowboys should win that. You don't overlook any opponent, but I mean, we have the Cowboys. Then we have the Titans. That should be considered a winnable game. Then we finally get our bye week. I don't think people understand how much of a difference that bye week was for the Eagles. How like we were talking about Nick Sirianni should probably be fired and everything like that. They go to their bye week and they haven't lost since. They fixed so many things during their bye week. I think fixing some things schematically, but also getting healthier in our bye week is going to be huge. Then we play the Saints. And then, I mean, of course, the Eagles revenge game, but that will be in Washington. And I mean, I know what the final score said, but I mean, I feel like it shouldn't go over our heads that like we were winning 10-6 early in that fourth quarter. Like now, granted, they missed some field goals and a PAT, but I mean that we were playing well while Jayden Daniels overall wasn't arguably having his worst game so far of his career. So I don't think the Eagles are just unbeatable. Then the Falcons lost to the Saints when the Saints are. I mean, I know they just fired their head coach. They had to make a statement game to show, okay, maybe it was his fault. It's not the rest of us. It was him. But I'm pretty sure by the time we play them, they already know they're just fighting for a draft pick at that point. And so with the Falcons losing to that, and then the Cowboys again, I feel like the rest of our season, I mean, the only real competitive team to me are the Eagles. I feel like we're going to finish easily well within double-digit wins, make the playoffs. And even behind us, like we're the 7th seed right now, I believe, but the Rams are like 2.5 games behind us too. And they I forgot who they play. They play everybody right behind us plays tough games. Seahawks, Rams, and 49ers all have tough games.
And the Rams play the Eagles this week.
Yeah, so like we're good to go. I feel like playoffs easily.
I'm not even looking at the wild card still. I'm like,
thank you, and I'm glad you said that. That's exactly where I was about to go when I started too.
Yeah, go ahead. Talk about it.
I was about to say, like, guys, let's wipe the stench of hell week off of us. It was hell week.
Yeah.
It's like in school, man. It's like exam week. We failed both of them tests last week.
Yeah,
but
we
the
did.
mission is still on course.
Yep.
And the Eagles have to go to LA. They have to go to Baltimore, and they host the Pittsburgh Steelers in their final 7 games of the season. And they got to come here to DC where revenge will be had. We will be here to avenge what took place on Thursday night. Like Rico said, we went into the fourth quarter with a 10-6 lead. Yeah, they missed field goals. Well, our equilibrium to that was that our offense did not show up that day. Like we did not pose any threat to that football team offensively on Thursday night and still had a chance to win versus a Super Bowl contender. But I'm not going to play moral victory gymnastics right now. We have a bad team on the schedule this week. It's a rivalry game. It's a game that matters. It's still significant to me, and it still sits in my brain watching Bama's eat turkey wings on Thanksgiving last year. We watched them at the table with the Pilgrims and the Indians on national TV on Thanksgiving last year. I watched grown men hopping in the Salvation Army tank. I remember Payne and Allen throwing dukes on the sideline, and word on the street was they boxed in the locker room after that game. I'm not going to speak too much on that, but it's there. It's there, and I want to kick them while they're down.
Without question.
I want to be that guy. Belt to ass on Sunday. You were dealing with sickness. I was dealing with sickness last week. We need something that's good for the soul right now. We need some pho Vietnamese noodle soup. We need some Vicks Vapor Rub. We need some NyQuil, some ginger ale in our system. You get the Cowboys on Sunday. They're giving up 30 points a game. They're giving up 150 on the ground. Our offense so badly needs to allow me to reintroduce myself. We're a top 3 offense in this league. We haven't been it in so long, and Jayden may have some competition in the Rookie of the Year race. So what better week than versus Dallas? Throw the gold pants on the burgundy jerseys. Let's get back to it because we haven't lost in that combo all year. Let's get back to who we were. Let's not forget who we are because of one bad week. Let's shake it off and let's get it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. That's why the thumbnail looks like I just want everybody to remember what it was like last Thanksgiving, because it was the most embarrassed I think I've been as a fan in quite some time, because watching them, like last year was just bad. It was all bad. Like I was watching the preview for the new Hard Knocks that's coming out, and it's the AFC North division in season. And I'm like, I'm going to be all over that because we played all 4 of those teams. So we're going to be in there, a little bit, right? Well, those teams played us on the schedule Um, the Cincinnati one was a Monday night game, so I know they're gonna have like clips of that. And I just remember last year the Dolphins were in season and they were practicing the roller coaster celebration during practice. They weren't practicing how are we gonna beat the Commanders. It's how we gonna celebrate on these chumps, right? That little garbage celebration they did on us
That
last
happened
year.
right in front of me in the stands last.
And then Dallas had to plan the turkey leg in the Salvation Army. Like teams weren't even worried about what they were gonna do schematically against us. They were more concerned and obsessed with, hey, how we gonna celebrate on these dudes, man? They garbage. And so I'm looking at this game on Sunday, and this Dallas Cowboys team is a mess. I said, man, boy, it's getting close to Thanksgiving, and they look like food. And we finna eat. And I'm talking like they're down. I'm trying to kick them as many times as we can while they're down because they've never hesitated to put boot to our ass when we've been down. 56
and let us know
14.
about it too.
Oh yeah. 56-14 is not lost on me. 45-10 last year, not lost on me. These things don't go away. I don't forget about these. So now that we got a chance, and I don't care who's playing. I don't care if it's Cooper Rush. I don't care if Ferguson's out. I don't care if I've never heard of Flournoy at receiver. I don't care about any of this stuff. I'm trying to destroy whomever's out there. I would love to put up 50 this Sunday.
I would.
But the goal is to just win, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I would love to do this in a manner that allows us to exercise a lot of demons and feel really good about kicking the Cowboys while they're down. Don't let them off the hook. This is the biggest spread that we have had against Dallas since 2007. Was the last time we were more than 3.5-point favorites over Dallas in any given game. That's how long it's been.
17 years.
Yeah.
17 years.
Right.
Todd Collins, the Todd Collins season finale against the Cowboys.
Portis and Moss were leading us to victory. Chris Cooley was catching Pat. What a time.
Man, this needs to be an epic ass whooping here that we dish out. And I think Ed said it best when he talked about some of the fans, not handling success well. Some are, and it's a very minute amount of the fan base that's, reacting poorly to this 2-game losing streak. Nobody likes to lose, but I think also what was a bit of a shock to the senses is we went 2 full months and we only lost 2 games. And then you lose 2 games in the span of 5 days, right? That's a bitter pill to swallow. And I think a lot of people didn't take it well. Let me ask y'all about this. Because there's been this conversation that I don't agree with, but I want to hear what you guys have to say. I want to hear your takes on this. How do you feel about the offense? There was this narrative before the season started. Kliff Kingsbury's offense is fade on the back end of the schedule. Teams adjust to him. He doesn't make the adjustment. We heard so many different things about Kliff's offense before he got here. They don't motion, which has been false this year. We motion on almost every snap. They don't move the receivers around. Terry really doesn't move away from that left side of the field as an X. And there's times where he might go in motion, but for the most part, he does most of his damage. Think about all the big Terry McLaurin plays this year outside of the Cincinnati deep ball for the game clinching score. Essentially, think about all of the plays that he's made this year. Most of them have probably come from that left side of the field. But how have you guys processed this offense, and what do you see with this offense? Do you see regression? Do you think that there's any validity to this Kliff Kingsbury discussion, or do you think that there's just been better defense that they've been playing against, and Jayden Daniels may have hit a little bit of a wall, proverbial wall, or he's dealing with an injury, or he's entitled to bad games, right? He'd been playing damn near flawless football. He's entitled to bad games. The offense, we've had drops, things of that nature. They're entitled to bad games. What's your sense of this offense? Anybody could jump in and tackle that.
I mean, I feel like it's an amalgamation of a lot of different factors, like you've already listed. I don't feel like Kliff Kingsbury deserves like a lot of the blame, because of course we've seen the history of second half of seasons, teams figure them out, and of course that's in the back of everybody's head. But when you actually really look at it, first of all, I feel like Jayden Daniels, he's not maybe injured, but I think he is hurt, and I think that is limiting Kliff Kingsbury's play calling. Like certain plays that he may would have called if Jayden Daniels were 100%.
Yep.
He's not able to call in these games. Also, for like the opposing defenses that we have gone against matter. I think the Steelers were number 2 and the Eagles were number 3, or vice versa, in points allowed per game. And I do want to note that we put up 27 against those Steelers, which was tied for the most allowed by the Steelers defense all season. And the Ravens came right back after that game and only put up 16. So, I mean, we're talking about our offense, but Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and all of those guys traded for Deontay Johnson only managed to put up 16. We put up 27 while Jayden Daniels had arguably an off game. We were looking at that game like, oh, man, this might be Jayden Daniels' worst game in his career. Then he goes against the Eagles, and it looks worse. But I'm pretty sure Jayden Daniels is fine. Now, my whole thing is, whether you're hurt or not, once you step onto that field, you decide that you're the quarterback playing. I expect you to play well and win. Point blank, period.
Bingo.
But no excuses. But I do feel like there are some outside factors, because I would be surprised we don't hang up at least 30 on the Cowboys. I don't care. Jayden Daniels hurt, whatever, Kingsbury, whatever you want to say about him. I think this offense is still great. I think we just ran into 2 really, really good defenses, and it's just a bad timing with Jayden Daniels probably banged up a little, and the offensive line. I mean, these were the best defensive lines you could argue we faced against as well, and Jayden Daniels did not have as much time as he's used to having as well. Brandon Coleman, love him, but he
how y'all
struggled
feeling
against
about Brandon Coleman?
He got his ass whooped in 2 games in a row. That boy getting rookie taxed like hell right now.
I don't like the whole rotation of him and Lucas, but you might have to start that back up.
Run that thing back.
You
Run
see
that
why they
thing
were
back.
doing it, right? You see why they were doing it now, right? Like now we understand why they was doing that. Less is more with Brandon Coleman.
Yeah, we need
Agreed.
Luke. We need that rotation on the left side back. But the problem is when you lose back-to-back games in 4 days in a very "what have you done for me lately" league, you invite all of the annoying narratives to your kitchen table. You invite the Kliff Kingsbury's offense dies in November and December. The Jayden Daniels, some of his statistics were inflated earlier in the season. The Washington doesn't beat any good teams on the schedule. Like, if that was a narrative that we could counter all year, right now we have to grin and bear it and take it on the chin, because you had two loss teams in a 4-day span, and you had a chance to beat both teams in the fourth quarter, and you didn't find a way to do so. So you can look at all the context of the games and say, what if Jayden is still feeling the rib injury and is he injured, are 2 very different questions. They're not putting the franchise player on the field if he's injured. Right. Is he hurt? A lot of guys are hurt at this time. I've seen Herbert play a full season with banged up ribs, a cartilage injury to be exact, which they never really specify with Jayden. But like Rico said, if you're going to take the field, we have to critique you like the rest of the guys. And I love Jayden. Jayden's our franchise quarterback. Jayden didn't give us a chance on Thursday. His Thursday game made me appreciate the Steelers game so much more, because Jayden did give us a chance to win that game. He gave us all the ability to win it. Zach Ertz need before the first down stick. The ball was delivered, and all of a sudden, a team that goes from 11 for 11 on 4th down, our last 2 have blown the last 2 games. Like versus the Steelers, it ended the game for us, and versus the Eagles, it put us in a tailspin that we could not come back from, down 10-12 in the fourth quarter of the game. Here's my thing with Jayden and the offense. It's a clear distinction, and there's a clear difference when Jayden's legs cannot be a part of the offense. His legs keep defenses on their heels. It gives our offense a sense of unpredictability. And earlier in the season, what was the motto? If nothing's there, 5 is going to take off with his legs. He's going to extend the play. Look at that run against Nakobe D. He's thinking. I think the mental hurdle of the rib injury, it's hit harder than the physical aspect of it. He's thinking too much. He's second guessing his ability to run, and he's not taking off with confidence. We're not seeing the same guy that's picking defenses apart with his mind, his arm, and his legs. And we saw uncharacteristic misses from him in the throwing game. Another thing, what the hell happened to our screen game? Bring Kliff Kingsbury back, man. Where did he go? The first month of the season, we were running screens as well as any other team in the league. I can't even look in the camera right now and recall the last successful screenplay we've run, either to a running back or wide receiver. They're immediately
Throw a
sniffed
screen at John Bates and see how it works out.
No, yeah, hey, that's some
Screen.
Eric Bieniemy type foolishness right there.
Like we were so anemic on Thursday. We're throwing screens to molasses ass John Bates on Thursday. We're just experimenting, throwing stuff at the wall, and our offensive line, uncharacteristically, they got their asses handed to them. Like, it didn't matter whether it was Josh Sweat, Nolan Smith, or one of us four lining up against Brandon Coleman on Thursday. They were whooping him. We were getting whooped all the way up and down the line. Jalen Carter was sniffing Jayden Daniels the entire day. 14 pressures and 12 hurries for a guy that's off. They had him seeing ghosts. He didn't really have time to get his clock right. So it was a collective effort offensively. And to close out my view of the offense, everybody who thought that we were fine at the wide receiver position, I think we all need to reevaluate our lives. If Terry is not frying, we have nothing to throw the ball to. We played a game in front of the world where our top three receivers were Austin Eckler, Zach Ertz, and John Bates. So I rest my case about the receiver room.
Yeah, go ahead, Ed. Go ahead.
Looking at the numbers with Jayden right now. So before the injury, he had a 75% completion percentage. After the injury, a 59% completion percentage. The quarterback rating was 107.1. Before the injury, now it's 89.6. So he's clearly hurt. The pass to Noah Brown was a skip ball. It literally skip hopped to Noah Brown. It was at his feet. He did the same thing.
That was a Donovan McNabb ball for sure.
Yeah, it was bad. And then there was another scramble where Eckler was literally right on the left side of Jayden. He was wide open. Where he could have tossed it to him, and Eckler had grass in front of him for at least a 10-yard run.
That was in the Kobe Dean play. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there's some things that Jayden is missing. I'm not going to put 100% on Jayden or 100% on Kliff. I think the fourth down call was awful.
Yeah, that was his worst play call of the year.
What was the call?
Yeah, it was bad.
What was?
He was trying to do an outside run.
It was literally a quarterback keep. It was terrible. It was. Even if Cosme doesn't run into him, I think that play's still dead on arrival. It looked like it had minimal chance of working. It was a horrible play call.
It looked like half the guys were running a different play as the other half.
Yeah, it was a horrible play call.
That's one big gripe I have for Kliff Kingsbury in that game. Something I noticed that a lot of the time that Jalen Carter impacted the game, it was because the guy directly in front of him was leaving the pool somewhere, and then we were trying to ask somebody to hurry up and get in front of a arguably generational defensive tackle talent like Jalen Carter, with him having a step or two over our offensive lineman.
You can't ask Andrew Wiley to try to reach block him because you pull Sam Cosme. Like that's craziness. And they repeatedly did that in the game. Repeatedly asked Andrew Wiley to reach block Jalen Carter. That's an impossible task. Even if he was Trent Williams, that's still a tough block to block a guy that athletically gifted. But sorry, Ed, go ahead, man.
Yeah. And they just haven't been in sync. So when Jayden's been on, they've been dropping passes. De'Ami Brown drops a touchdown pass against the Steelers. Noah Brown drops a pass on the 3rd and 9. Luke McCaffrey drops a pass on the sideline against the Steelers where Jayden evaded the rush and bulleted it, and that was a nice, accurate pass. Yep. So either Jayden's off or the receiver's dropping a pass the past 2 games. And like you guys said, we put up 27 against the Steelers. You look at Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, they put up, 13 points? So, I mean, to do that against the Steelers, 16 points. They were in the teens. We were at 27. So, I think the offense moved the ball really well. Eckler had 2 running touchdowns against the Steelers. Like, we moved the ball. Terry had over 100 yards in that game against Joey Porter, who's supposed to be a lockdown corner. And we were moving the ball on a really good defense. TJ Watt had 0 sacks, 0 tackles. I thought we did a solid job against him for the most part. So, the offense was fine in that game. But it's a combination of Jayden not being healthy. Like, if you look at the Browns game, when he evaded the rush against JOK and launched it 40 yards to Terry, I don't think he's capable of making that throw right now. And if you ask him to do a Hail Mary against the Bears again, I don't think he's capable of throwing the ball that far at this point right now. It really doesn't look like he's capable of doing it because he can't throw it 15 yards to Noah Brown right now. He's struggling to do that. He only threw 5 passes of 10 yards or more against the Eagles. and it's clearly showing. The sideline, he's getting his ribs rubbed every time. Reporter said something about him wincing during throws. I saw him at the Wale concert. I know it doesn't matter.
He was
but
stiff as hell on stage.
He was barely moving, which was I knew he didn't want to move too much. I knew he thought about his hand. He didn't want to do too much at all. He wanted to be chill. He's a chill guy anyway. Like I said, It made matter or nothing, but it's just an observation I made. But he's not 100%. He gets 10 days of rest, so I think that will help. You have a get-right game against the worst defense in the NFL. But I think the Kliff narrative that his defense is being stale, I think there's a lot of Kliff haters out there too that want to be proven right about Kliff having a stale offense after 8 games.
See,
and
I told you.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that want to be right about Jayden Daniels too. There's a lot of people doing that with the Bo Nix thing that we're going to get to as well. But I think the offense is going to be fine. I think it's the offensive line. We do need to, if Lucas needs to play the full snaps and we evaluate this rotation, I think the rotation needs to be done by really after the bye. I think they need to pick one guy or the other, and they need to move forward for the rest of the season. That's just my opinion.
Cornelius Lucas healthy has my vote. I'll just say that.
Yeah, they need to move forward with just one guy on the left spot. But I think the offense is going to be fine. And you're finally getting B-Rob back. B-Rob's missed 2 games here, missed 1 game, came back, then missed another game. So you're going to get your power back in the fold. He looked really good against the Eagles. I thought we should have ran the ball a little bit. He got 16 carries, which was not bad, but I thought there were some points where Kliff
get away
get
from the run
a little too much. So yeah, I think right now the panic button is being pushed by a lot of people once again because they're just not used to the success. They're used to the sky falling as the Skins. But I think Kliff's going to be fine. I think Jayden's going to be fine. They need this rest bad.
Amen.
I agree with everything all of you have said. Like the whole Kliff narrative it's low hanging fruit. When adversity hits, you're searching for a reason, right? There's got to be a reason, and you want to pinpoint something, so you start reaching for things. Is it Jayden? I've heard Jayden doesn't throw well in cold weather. That's a narrative that I'm hearing, right? Like it's so many things people are reaching for at this point because of the play, right? I mean, I've heard so many crazy narratives that are being spun right now, and I think, like you guys have said, the Steelers game to me is enough proof that this offense is fine. Like, and I went back, I watched the film with the mob, and the Eagles, even the Eagles game, like he drew up some great plays. Like the first possession, the second possession of the game, we're moving the football, and matter of fact, I think it was the first possession, and the one where he throws to Noah Brown in traffic, and Zach Bond gets a hand on it over the middle. That is a pick play that they set up specifically for Austin Eckler to get a wheel route up the sideline, and Ertz sets a pick, like a blatant pick, but it's within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage, so you can do that. And you got Darius Slay pointing at Ertz blocking, like you can't do that, right? And as he's bitching to the official, Eckler's running up the sideline, and he's wide open, and that's the way the play was designed. And why he came off of that read, I wish I could tell you. Rio pointed out the play where he hesitates, where he gets tackled by Nakobe Dean, and Ed brought up there's 2 open receivers on that play. As he breaks the pocket, Eckler's standing right there, and Ertz is standing 5 yards in front of him. They're in the eagle within 5 yards of either one of them. And early in the season, I thought he was so indecisive in the Eagles game, right? Because early in the season, it was, if I don't like what I see immediately, I'm gonna take off and run. I'm gone, right? I'm taking off. And there was people hypercritical of him. Oh, he should, stand in there and find an open receiver. We don't want him taking hits, yada, yada, yada. And then as, he took that hit against the Giants, right? With the ribs, he left for one play and came back. And after that, he started standing in the pocket a little bit more. But he was decisive. Ball was coming out, right? And in this game, the ball wasn't coming out, and there were open receivers all over the field. And it was so frustrating because I'm like, that's not the Jayden that we've seen process quickly, get the ball out of his hands, or make a decision. There's a 4-yard sack, the one where Josh Sweat jumps over the pile that Cosme created with Jalen Carter when he initially lost the rep, but he rebounded and pushed him out of the way, and Jayden's going to break the pocket, and here comes, Josh Sweat jumping over the pile like Superman because he he literally took one arm and pushed Brandon Coleman back 5 yards like he's got some kind of Hadouken in his fist or some shit. And after that, he sacks him. And I'm like, dude, there were 3 dudes open on the play before any of that transpired that you could have gotten the football to. But you were so indecisive. By the time you made up your decision in your mind to run, you got sacked, right?
Pressure had him shook.
I think it did. I really think he was really taken aback by the early pressure. And I think the Eagles were showing him some different looks. I think they confused him a little bit too. And, Jayden's mindset is, if I don't trust it, I'm not throwing it. That's why he's only thrown 3 picks this season. Because if he doesn't like what he sees, he's not going to throw it. He's not going to force it, right? And so I think the play calling is fine. I think he's going to be really better off because of this 10-day break. And I think we're going to see a rejuvenated offense, a rejuvenated Jayden Daniels. And I think we're going to start the process of putting all of these false narratives to rest. Speaking of which, Jayden Daniels' play of late has now opened the door for a conversation that I thought we had put to rest 3-4 weeks ago, right? Which was offensive rookie of the year. Now, I still think he's got it in the bag, but he can't continue playing this way while Bo Nix is playing the way that he's playing. He just had a 26 of 30, I believe, something along those lines, or 28 of 32. He only had like 4 incompletions or 5 incompletions for, I think over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. I watched that entire game. One of those touchdowns he was gifted because it was a 4th down play that his guy did not catch the ball. Somehow New York has been tripping this year. I think we can all agree with that. Like, it's one thing for the officials on the field to make a mistake. That's human error. It happens. But that's why New York is supposed to be there to clean up the messes that the officials on the field make. And they're doubling down on some of these messes, or even going back and correcting a mess that wasn't created until you went in and did that. And they had a 4th down where the guy did not catch the ball, and they're like
standing in solidarity with one another. Like, just make the call, the right call.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I'm still tripping off the Steelers spot. Like,
oh my God,
how is it that ball, like, at no point that ball was at the 42-yard line? At no point was that ball ever at the 42.
Nope.
And all I had asked for was that you respot the ball and you measure. And if we're short, right? But to just say, nah, don't worry about it, just leave it at the 42. Steelers ball. Like, that's so lazy, right? Like, but anyway, I digress. Bo Nix is coming on like gangbusters. And can we just say this is a really good rookie class of quarterbacks?
Yes, it is. They're balling. May is balling. Caleb had a game-winning drive.
He had a game on Sunday. I know they lost, but he played his ass off.
He can't kick the ball too, man.
No, he can't do that. Even Drake May is playing well. He has a penchant for turnovers at the most inopportune time. But he even is playing really well right now. So the rookie class looks excellent at the quarterback position, but is there any fear from any of you on this panel about Bo Nix's ascension and him threatening JD5 and the offensive rookie of the year, mantle that we thought was ours already a month ago? Any fear there from any of you?
Fear is a little bit aggressive. Fear is definitely an aggressive word, but I will say Jayden got to roll up his sleeves and go grind it out now, because it is a competition. And dare I say, there's more than one competitor. That tight end that went to Rico's favorite school is in the conversation as well.
Yeah.
Brock Bowers is doing wide receiver 1 numbers, not rookie wide receiver.
Yeah.
He's doing starting wide receiver 1 numbers with no quarterback down in Vegas. And I'm looking at the tail of the tape right now. Jayden Daniels total yards, 2,820 to 2,570 of Bo Nix. But Bo Nix has 4 more total touchdowns, 18-14, but he has 3 more picks. They have 1 less win than Washington. But It doesn't look at the context of the matter, but the rookie of the year competition does not care about the context.
No, it does not.
Unfortunately, they don't look at the fact that every touchdown Jayden's thrown through the air had to take place in the end zone. While I'm looking at Bo Nix, 2 guys taking screens to the crib on Sunday. We don't have any rack ability, no playmaking ability from our guys. And every time Terry catches a deep ball, he gets hawked down. So,
you know how many times he's had a chance to have a touchdown pass and somebody's gotten tackled at the 1.
It's got to be at least 7 times, 6 or 7 times minimum.
I mean, De'Ami Brown drops a touchdown that had to turn into a rushing touchdown. Like, we've had so many things that have stopped him from having like 18 passing touchdowns right now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
we say that?
Illegal men downfield.
Yeah, I mean, talk about it, Ed.
Touchdown versus Chicago, man.
It's so many of these opportunities that have stunted his statistical growth. It's ridiculous. Look, man, when it's all said and done, I still don't think this is going to be close. I'm just going to say my piece right now before everybody else jumps in. But Bo is making it interesting because it's the two things are happening simultaneously, right? Jayden is having the worst stretch of his career. Meanwhile, Bo Nix is playing his best football of the season, right? Should have beat the Chiefs, had, a ridiculous game against Atlanta. So these things are happening side by side.
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Neither team has had a bye, right? So both are working off of 11 games, correct?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I think the Broncos are 6-5, correct?
Yep. We're both going
so,
off.
So there's no discrepancy there with us playing an extra game and so forth and so forth.
The only discrepancy is that Jayden didn't play more than a drive versus the Panthers. That's about it.
Yeah, so it's essentially 10 versus 11.
That's a stat padding ass game he didn't get to have.
Yeah, he didn't get to enjoy.
Yeah.
That one hurts so much.
Yeah, that could have been 3 touchdown passes, 270, another. I mean, how much did he have on the one run, right? That could have been 100 yards, right? That could have been 100 yards rushing, another 260 passing. Like, that was the game to really get your rocks off there.
40 that day.
I mean, Marcus Mariota was eating. You know what I mean? Yeah, that was a missed opportunity. So we're all in agreement that this is still Jayden's award.
For me is Bo Nix started off really bad. Like, imagine if Jayden would have had the start that Bo had. Bo had 0 touchdowns, 2 picks in the first 2 games. The Steelers game, they lost 13-6. He had 0 touchdowns, 2 picks, only 6 points. And then the Seahawks, he had 0 touchdowns, 2 picks in that game. Then the Jets game that they won 10-9, he threw for 60 yards.
Yeah,
he's not doing that. Jayden will get 60 yards in the first quarter off possibly his legs. So to stink it up like that, imagine if Jayden would have started like that. The fan base would have gone crazy if Jayden.
Oh my gosh, it would have been a mutiny. It would have been a mutiny.
4 picks. Bo really started out 0 touchdowns, 4 picks.
Yeah.
He
didn't throw. I don't think he threw his first touchdown until the Tampa game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, no, the Jets game, which was the 4th game of the season. That's a long time.
It took him a while to get his first touchdown.
He was arguing with Sean Payton on the sidelines, doing stuff like that.
I like that. I like to see that fire out of him.
Yeah. So Bo stunk it up, man. Bo stunk it up. We've seen, Bo stunk it up to start it off. And he had some really bad games. And Jayden started off hot. The Bengals game, the Monday night game, I think that solidified him being in the top spot. And then he followed up with a blowout against the Cardinals, 42-14, where he didn't have to really play in the fourth. Then he followed up again with another blowout against the Browns, where he sat out in the fourth quarter.
Right.
So, I mean, he just started off really, really hot. Then the Hail Mary put him above everything, too. Like, that really, really.
Yeah, that added to the legend. That put the legend, the legend of Jayden Daniels. Like, that's when Ed started talking MVP. That's when Ed started talking MVP. That's when Ed started talking MVP.
That's when the MVP odds went down. And then the win that he had against Spencer Rattler, he was off on that game, too. I watched that Thursday night football game. That's probably the only game I watched him the whole way through.
Yeah.
And the running joke on that one, because he had Cortland Sutton was wide open, and then their tight end, I can't remember their tight end's name. He literally threw the ball in between
both of them. Yeah.
Somebody joke and said he threw the ball to Demaryius Thomas, rest in peace. He was throwing the ball.
No.
That's how bad he was.
Oh no.
So it's really what have you done for me lately kind of thing, and people are just blinded because Jayden hasn't played well the last 2 weeks, and Bo has stepped it up, and then you got Chase Daniel, who was D-riding Jayden the whole time.
all year.
Yeah.
And Chase Daniel would come out with a tweet and say, "Oh, I'm
Ooh.
from Bo Nix." And see, that's why
Saw
Cam
that.
Newton, I would like when Cam Newton said on his spot, he was like, Jayden, he was like, be ready for him to turn on you or whatever message he was trying to say. I was like, oh, go on, Cam. I ain't trying to hear it. But no, Cam was talking the truth.
Cam was spitting.
Because Cam's been there. He's seen the top and he's seen the bottom, clearly.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, Jaden's gonna finish it off. And Bo, I'll give Bo's credit. Bo, a lot of people said Bo was trash coming out. He can't read a defense. He's one read quarterback. He was trash at Auburn and all that. He's playing good football. He's doing what he's supposed to do, but he still hasn't been better than Jayden Daniels, in my opinion.
Yeah, his old ass not winning.
It's respect to Bo, but honestly, I feel like a lot of this is just coming from people are tired of talking about Jayden. Like I feel like this is just a new thing to talk about because ESPN, they run out of things to talk about. They got to force it. They can't talk about the Cowboys with as bad as they've been, so that opens up a lot of airtime that they got to figure out to talk about something. Now suddenly this Sean Payton coach, Sean Payton, somewhat NFL royalty, coached quarterback that a lot of people doubted. What was he like the fifth quarterback taken in the draft or whatever? This unsung hero just came out of nowhere. Now the Broncos look like a good team. I just feel like it's not even I don't feel like people are really downplaying Jayden. I just feel like they're like, ooh, what's this new shiny toy over here? More so than anything else. But I feel like also by the end of the season, we'll see, because we have a lot of mutual opponents. We have the Buccaneers together. We have the Saints. We have the Panthers. We have the Ravens. Browns, they have to play the Browns as well. And the Bengals week 17. So, if he doesn't go out there and do what Jayden Daniels did week 17 compared to what Jayden did week 3, I feel like that should already just lay this to rest. I feel like Jayden Daniels has a significant lead. I agree, though. He needs to get it together, though. But at the same time, he just went against the Steelers and the Eagles. So I feel like we shouldn't necessarily be surprised. And I just hope the people that are voting don't just look at box scores. Because if you look at any advanced stats chart, Jayden Daniels has Bo Nix by a mile. Like when you're looking at like EPA per play, Jayden Daniels is still 5th out of the entire NFL. Bo Nix is 24th. Like I had to squint to find him at the bottom. Like it's not even really like a competition when you look at like advanced metrics that do account for a lot of the things that we're saying. Like our receivers don't catch touchdowns unless the ball is already thrown to the end zone. Like a lot of these advanced stats try to account for that. Also account for like how good the defense the opponent that the quarterback is going against. Even if you're looking at success rate, Jayden Daniels goes all the way down to 13. Bo Nix is still 26th. I just feel like it's not as close as some people think. I think it's just more so he's the shiny new toy. Let's just talk about this. We're just looking for something to talk about on ESPN right now.
Yeah, and you got people pushing the narrative too. You know how it goes when Bo's coming off of a 4-touchdown performance and a blowout victory of a solid Atlanta Falcons team. Jayden hasn't had a 4-touchdown game, right? He might have had. I don't think he's even had a game where he accounted for 4 touchdowns. A couple on the ground, 2 through the air, or anything like that. So, you start seeing those types of numbers. I've seen this tweet at least 5 different places. Total touchdowns accounted for rookie quarterbacks. And, Bo Nix is at the top of that list because of the, passing touchdowns all of a sudden. So, Jayden hasn't been running them in lately either. When's the last, game?
Cardinals, week 4 was his last. He had 4 rushing touchdowns through 4 weeks, and we haven't got another one since.
Yeah, and a lot of that calmed down once he got injured too. You know what I mean? So
I think a factor too that people don't see unless they watch our games is we have like 21 rushing touchdowns. Like all our running backs have hella touch. Like our running back 3 has like 4 or 5 touchdowns this year. Eckler has 5+ touchdowns. Robinson has we're getting short yardage rushing touchdowns that don't involve Jayden. So he's practically walking us down the field and they're getting the sloppy touchdown at the end of the drive.
Exactly. Like we talked about how many of those touchdown or passes end up being at the 1, right? Terry had one against, I want to say it was the Steelers. He caught like a wide receiver screen or a slant. I think it was a slant or something. He caught and he broke a tackle and he stumbled down to the 1-yard line. And then, Eckler ended up running it in, I believe. Like that's been the story of this season is every time we get a play, it ends up down at the 1. And, if we can not get him hit, I'm going to give it to the running back and let the running back get in. The offensive line is doing a tremendous job of getting guys in the end zone. And so, it's not always like Rico said, it's not always about the box score. You have to watch the game to understand the impact that he's having.
Before
And
you close this one out, Ref the District, I had to give them credit on this. They tweeted this last night. Jayden has 11 completions where the receiver was tackled or pushed out of bounds inside the 5-yard line, including 5 that took place at the 1-yard line. 3 of these drives ended in touchdown passes, but the other 8 were touchdown runs, field goals, and the interception versus the Cleveland Browns. If those 8 get in the end zone, plus the Diami drop, that's 19 touchdown passes that he should have. And that's not even mentioning Olamide Zaccheaus' screen pass versus the Bears that got called back for a procedural penalty. You're talking about a 20 touchdown rookie to 3 interceptions that we sold this man.
It is amazing what he should have versus what he currently does have. And so I really don't it's comical because somebody brought it up to me right after the Thursday night game, like, hey, no, it was after the Sunday night game. Hey, Jayden Daniels, you got to turn it back up. Bo Nix is trying to steal the rookie of the year from you. I'm like, man, get out of here. He's not stealing anything away from Jayden, but the narrative is been formulated, and now we have to go ahead and put it back to rest. So this game coming up, to me, should serve as a springboard for him to jump back on the, hey, forget about rookie of the year. I got that in the bag. Let's talk that MVP talk again. Like, let's bring that back up.
Yeah, I need MVP Ed back, man.
Yeah, I need that back. I need MVP Ed, because Ed was going hard for that, man. Ed was providing numbers and data points, and I need that Ed back, right? I need Ed trying to. Ed is like, look, I got some dollars down, man, on this thing. If this thing pops, you know, yeah, shout out to US. Hey, this thing could be really beneficial for Ed. So I need him to get back in that discussion, and the way you do that is not only statistically, but you got to win, right? If we come back and we win this division, he'll be in that conversation again. You know what I mean? And so winning is what got him in the conversation in the first place. Starting 7-2, people were looking around and saying, "Wait a minute, Commanders are 7-2? I mean, you're one game behind the Lions for the number 1 seed in the NFC." Like, people are like, "Wait a minute, what's going on here?" I think the loss to Philadelphia cancels any hope of being like a number 1 seed. Remember, we were talking crazy. The last time we linked up, remember, we were talking reckless, man.
Bye week.
Oh my God. We were talking
first round buys, all type of
oh my God. We were talking number 1 seed, first round buy. We say Ed.
Yeah, playoff home game for sure.
Oh, yeah. No, we were talking all kinds of greasy, man. Our lips was just greasy, like we just had some church's chicken or something.
Life comes at you fast, man.
Man, talk about it. Talk about it, Rio. I mean, that's dead now. We like, hey, can we get a home playoff game? Can we at least get that still? Right? Like,
it is on the table still, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But I mean, like, we got a lot of work to do to get to that point, and it starts with Dallas this week. So last thing before we get out of here, we saw that the Congress got a step closer to maybe us getting back to RFK. Is this a big deal for any of you, them potentially being back in downtown DC, or are you at this point now, like, just pick a location, break ground, and get us a new stadium? Where are y'all at with that whole situation?
I mean, me personally, I would prefer for it to go somewhere with a lot of space. So I guess RFK wouldn't do that, because I have this whole vision of like a big epicenter where it's like shops and movie theater.
And that ain't downtown DC. I can tell you.
Yeah, it's not that. Yeah. But I just feel like my preferences are trivial, because no matter what, I'm gonna have to fly there anyway. So I'm just in whatever Commanders fans like. I love it, but like my only preference would be like a bigger venue situation, but that wouldn't be RFK. But if most of the fan base wants RFK, I'm with y'all. Y'all like it, I love it.
I think that it's a big deal for a lot of people. Like, I want a new venue, period. I want to go to a state-of-the-art Superdome. I want to know what it's supposed to look like, because I haven't been to too many away stadiums before. But on TV, that Vegas stadium, that LA stadium, even Dallas is the one that's near Rico's crib. Those stadiums, I want that for us. It
love
appears
Mercedes-Benz.
that they will turn over every stone, and it's not just the ownership group. It's the NFL. It's Roger Goodell. There's a lot of people relying on Washington moving back to its rightful home back in DC. RFK 2.0. Like, I would even imagine whatever they call the new stadium, it's going to say at RFK Stadium at the end of it. Like, they're going to bring all the nostalgia back with this one. And this could bring casuals back. This could bring people who aren't interested in watching football back. Just throw the state-of-the-art stadium where RFK's at. Let's get this done and let's move forward. I think they will wait till 2040 if they got to, because they want it there. That's where they want it. That's where the league wants it. Get it done. So this is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it's a good step in the right direction. I know Mayor Bowser really wants it. She's pushing for it hard. And it would bring back the nostalgia, like Rio said, getting it back in DC, getting it back at RFK, bringing back that old feeling. But yes, the stadium, I do feel like it should be a dome. I would like that a lot. And
please,
you keep.
It will. They want to.
It'll be retractable. I think it'll be a retractable.
They're going to host the World Cup and all types of stuff.
Yeah, hosting the Super Bowl in there possibly. You know, maybe a lot of events and stuff like that. Just make sure they got the curtains in there so they can cover up the sun when the sun comes up. We don't want to be like the guys that were playing this weekend with the sun shining.
Right.
Poor CD Lamb, man.
Right. But no,
I don't feel bad for him at all.
If it is going to be a place with shots, because shout out to my Wizards, Ted Leonce is the owner. He wanted to be in VA because it had that space to do something like that, where you could have the shops and the hotels and all the stuff. And you know, you see the Hard Knocks with Dallas, where you saw the drone fly through, and it kind of was like a neighborhood. I know people bring up the MGM National Harbor, but it's basically impossible to do it there. But I get the idea of having like the restaurants and stuff. Maybe you could build a MGM like venue around it, but that would probably be VA. And I'm anti VA. I know Louie and Rio, you guys are VA. I'm anti-VA, but I understand VA would have the space for it, so that's why the Wizards wanted to move out to Northern Virginia. So it made
infrastructure.
If y'all ever come to Atlanta, we have the area called the Battery where the Braves play now. That's like a perfect example of like a city built around a stadium.
Yeah, because literally that's in Cobb County, and there is nothing in Cobb County, but they turned it into like this place that you want to be, right? When there's a game, it's excitement, it's buzzing, there's things to do in that area. And like, if you find the right piece of land, you can do something like that. But like a lot of y'all said, it's literally a nostalgic thing for most people. Like you can't recreate what RFK once was. And I think so desperately people want that. They're still holding on to that. And like, that's where it belongs, because you think about this team and the name of the team, like we haven't played in Washington, DC in how long now? Like
very long time.
Like that stadium was built in what, 96, I believe. Like we haven't played, we've been in Landover, Maryland for the better part of almost 3 decades, right? Like the fact that we're still called Washington is crazy. I mean, it's the same thing with the Jets and the Giants. They play in New Jersey, but they're the New York, Jets and New York Giants. So, I mean, I get it, but at the same time, a lot of people want the stadium back where they feel like it rightfully belongs. It's just a lot. Like, even if you get it back on that site, like, it's no space down there, right? It's like, it's not the best area anymore. Not that you can't clean it up and get it back to where you need it to be, but it's not the best area to have something like that. But it's good for, transit purposes. You can get there, it's easy access, that sort of thing. But like, I'm at the point now where it's sort of like where I was with the name. Like, can you just pick somewhere, break ground, so we can get us a new damn stadium and get rid of this dump? I know we renamed it, and you're putting all of this money into it renovation wise, and I'm happy about all of that, but
I just want renderings, man. I want my 3D renderings in my little 1-minute video. I might shed real tears the day that we see the actual plans and blueprints of the stadium.
Yeah. I'm ready for it, man. Like I'm at the point where I'm like, all right, man, show me something. I'm ready for y'all to break ground on this state-of-the-art stadium. He's been taking notes. He's been going to all of these facilities and looking at how their practice facility looks and how their stadium looks. And
Even internationally too, like
yeah,
like
for
the big
sure. Like
soccer ones in other countries.
he's
Yeah.
taking a lot of notes, and I'm ready for them to kind of figure out how they want this thing to look and get going on it.
The Mitchell Rails aspect makes me think that they're gonna hire the flyest architect ever because he has so much art influence in DC.
Mhm.
He is like the face of art in the DMV.
I love it. Hopefully that it bleeds over into our stadium and the
Mhm.
way that it's designed. We heard from Dan Quinn, and he mentioned Marshawn Lattimore may start to, get back onto the practice field at some point later on in the week, he said, which sounds more like Thursday, Friday at the earliest. Do you see him playing this week? Yes or no?
I
Nah.
most certainly do not see. I don't
Yeah.
think we see him till New Orleans, to be perfectly honest.
I
Coming off the bye.
I do. I mean, I almost feel like at this point, if he doesn't play against Dallas, what's the point of playing him before the Titans? I mean, against the Titans, why not just give him that extra time?
We need you out there for Westbrook Akine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he got us the last time. Westbrook Akine got us the last time.
True. Good point. Good point.
He did.
He got us the last time, but
Fair point.
hey, somebody got to check Calvin Ridley, right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess I feel good about Frozone right now, but
His quarterback going to check him, man. Will Levis ain't doing nothing on us, man.
hey, look, man, we better not let Will Levis do nothing. He looked good against Minnesota this past weekend. He wasn't bad against the Chargers, so we'll see. But did y'all watch T. Higgins on Sunday night? Yes or no?
Oh yeah.
I watched
Yeah. I envisioned him with a burgundy and gold jersey the whole time he was running routes.
God, I know this man has stayed injured the last couple seasons.
Oh, he's always hurt.
But look, man, it's hard for me to be like, yo, it's hard to pass that one up.
1201 on free agency tampering day. 1201, like Albert Hainsworth.
We got the money to do it. I've said this over and over again. I envision them building this like the 49ers built their empire, so to speak. And Noah Brown is the 49ers Jawan Jennings, right? Yep. So he's a third option. He's the perfect third option. T. Higgins is supposed to be our Brandon Ayuk, right? Yep. Now we didn't draft him, but he's super young still, and the sky's the limit. And the beauty of this situation is, for the first time in a long time, we got a guy that people want to come and play with.
He's seen it firsthand too. His first game back this year was versus us on Monday Night Football. So come on down, T. Higgins.
Yeah, man. I'll take 12 games a year, some T. Higgins, man. I don't care. I mean, honestly,
draft this handcuff in the mid rounds. We'll be all right, man.
To your point, like we get that type of caliber receiver to like kind of emulate what the 49ers did. Adam Peters helped build that. I feel like with him, I feel like the smoke with like Deebo Samuel or even mostly Brandon Ayuk, I don't feel like that was just nothing. Like I feel like there was some genuine interest, but maybe their asking price was too high. So there's clear interest. I mean, even when Marquez Valdez-Scantling became available, his agent said that, oh, look, I mean, he signed with the Saints, but the Commanders and these other couple of teams wanted him. So they're still looking. They're not willing to probably pay the price that people are asking for in trades because they still want to build through the draft. Right. But they're definitely looking for a wide receiver too. And if T. Higgins is able to walk, he doesn't get franchise tag for a second time, I definitely see us being in on that immediately, even if it is for 12 games a year.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think he has Commander written all over him. I don't think they were willing to give up what it was going to take to get a receiver, and I don't blame them. Because again, we arrived on the scene a bit early, and while they would have loved to have added someone if they could for the right price, I think they realized that he's not getting franchise tagged again in Cincinnati. That's not happening.
And they're about to give Jamar some historic contract.
Oh, they have no choice. I mean, this man is right now on pace to go triple crown, right? You know, receiving yards, catches, and touchdowns. I mean, they messed up. They really did, because they should have paid him this offseason. Now the price of that pack has gone up, right? Yesterday's price is not going to be today's price.
He about to get Daniel Jones money.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
and
But
and even just going back to T Higgins, like I think. Oh, sorry. Actually, complete your thought, Louis. I lost it. I ain't gonna lie.
no, you're good. I was pretty much done. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, but Ed, you want T Higgins? What you think?
Oh, how could I not? I mean, look at this receiving core. We got guys dropping passes left and right, dropping touchdown passes. But T is a dog, man. Him and Terry together would be so nasty. You can't double Terry. You can't try to take Terry away because you got T Higgins on the other side.
And
he was
I would
dog.
feel so much better about Jayden forcing the ball to T Higgins
Oh
than
my
I feel
God.
him forcing it to dang on Noah Brown.
Because
That's
he plays with all of his size. Some guys are big for nothing. He uses every bit of the 6'4" frame that he has so far.
Yeah.
Let's say Noah Brown's great at getting defensive pass interferences, but he's not T Higgins. But the point I forgot was I feel like the reason we even set us up for those like 1-year contracts that we did is that when we get to next offseason, we're going to go after who we prioritize, and whoever wants to fall in line. I mean, we may not be able to pay you as much as this other team can, but if you're willing to be a part and jump aboard this Super Bowl contender we're trying to build, great. But we're going to immediately shoot out a tampering period going after the guys we really want, that we feel like fit our culture, will make an immediate impact for us long term. And then whoever wants to fall in line after that, you're welcome. You are welcome to join.
1201 Chef Peters, cook it up. See, the Commanders Kings, this is what we do. Brother Lou introduced the topic about Marshawn Lattimore, and we completely poo-pooed the topic and started talking about T. Higgins, bro.
Hey.
You're not going to find this content anywhere else in the Commanders community.
Y'all know what it is, man. We appreciate y'all here chopping it up with us for this inaugural episode of the Commanders Kings. We're going to be bringing y'all this content all year long, all year round. Even when the season ends, we're going to be giving y'all this product that y'all love, man. And so this is just the beginning. Make sure you subscribe for more great content if you haven't already done so. Turn on that notification bell because you just don't know when the content is going to be coming at you, whether it's shorts being chopped up and repackaged, or we got our individual shows that we're going to be putting out for you guys. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming out of this channel, so we don't want you to miss it. We want you to be a part of all of it. So make sure you subscribe, turn that notification bell, like this video right here, because there's more of that where this came from. And so for all 4 of us on the panel, the Commander Kings are signing off. We thank you for joining us, and we will be back in our normal time slot next week, 8 p.m. live, and look forward to chopping it up with y'all then. Until then, hopefully we'll be talking about a big-time beatdown of the Dallas Cowboys next week as we head into our next matchup versus the Tennessee Titans. We got to take care of business this week. If we're talking about anything but an ass whooping next week,
it's gonna be
a crazy show if we're talking about anything other than a beatdown of the Dallas Cowboys. For everybody on the panel, I'm Louie Tee signing off. Ed, Rico, Rio, Commander Kings, we out.
Turkey necks on 3.